Sunday evening service, and it's great to see everybody to be here. But it was even greater Friday when a bunch of us got together and got hugs. That was awesome. It was so good. I have no idea what Dina has lined up for us because I haven't actually talked to her, but she has a song coming up now. So,
I do. And that's all the introduction I need, Claudia. May my word, may my word, may my word be a sacred sound. May my word, may my word. Oh, sorry. You know what? I didn't turn on my sound here. My sound quality is going to all of a sudden be a lot better now. May my word, may my word, may my word be a sacred sound. May my word, may my word, may my word, may my word be a sacred sound. May my word, may my heart, may my heart, may my heart be an open door. May my heart, may my heart, may my heart, may my heart be an open door. May my heart, may my word be a sacred sound. May my heart be an open door. May my life be shining light. Amen. Amen.
thank you, Dina. Let's take a moment to breathe in to the quietness, to that place of infinite possibilities where we all come together to celebrate that which is unique about each of us. And that is also a place where we are one, so different and yet alike. We bring color and joy and light to the world all around us because we choose to be that place where God shines through, where God loves through each one of us as the sons and daughters of the Most High. And it is good. Amen. All right, we have Reverend John Strickland back in the mountains with us after spending the winter in the desert. For those who don't know, John was our sponsoring minister when this church was first formed. What is it, Louis, 5-6 years ago? I don't remember.
About 6 years ago.
Okay, good. And so we're always delighted to have John with us and just share that special joy that he is. And Dina has another song.
Yep, we're going to do a congregational song. Now we're doing things slightly different order than usual on purpose. So this is Speak Only Love, and it's in the chat box. So I will sing through the first verse here so you get a sense of the melody. Sounds like this. Love, love, may I speak only love. Love, love, may speak only love. Alright, now we'll do it for real. This is a zipper song, so only a very few words change in each verse. Love, love, may I speak only love. Love, love, may I speak only love. From the first morning light through the darkness of night, may my words speak only love. Peace, peace, may I speak only peace. Peace, peace, may I speak only peace. From the first morning light through the darkness of night, may my words speak only peace. Truth, truth, may I speak only truth. Truth, truth, may I speak only truth. From the first morning light through the darkness of night, may my words speak only truth. Love, love, may I speak only love. Love, love, may I speak only love. From the first morning light through the darkness of night, may my words speak only love. May I speak only love. May I speak only love. May I speak only love.
Thank you. Our daily word for today is grace, and the affirmation: the grace of God is alive in me. I don't need to do anything to earn or deserve the grace of God because it is always present, mine to claim in any situation. Grace dawns in my awareness as soon as I move beyond the limits of my human understanding. I let go and let the peace, love, wisdom, and strength of God fill me, lift me, and guide me. In both the challenging and the ordinary moments of life, the grace I give and the grace I receive keep the awareness of God in my heart. During a tough conversation, a thought comes to mind that helps reestablish harmony. As I mull an important decision, a fresh insight clarifies my thinking. Feeling overwhelmed by my to-do list, I feel renewed energy and move forward with strength and enthusiasm. In these moments and more, I discover grace anew. And from John, from his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. And this is the place where we light the candle, which symbolizes the presence of Christ, not just here and now, but in every moment of every day. We know that even as this is a symbol, we are never, ever alone. We have a new affirmation for this month. I am the architect of my life, and I create a masterpiece. Together, I am the architect of my life, and I create a masterpiece. Okay, keeping in mind that we're all still a work in progress. At least I know I am. All right, now we've got the candle, the affirmation. Yeah, more music.
That's right. This is to open up John's talk. This is Give a Little Love by Diane Warren. Living in this crazy world, so caught up in the confusion, nothing is making sense for me and you. Maybe we can find a way. There's got to be a solution, how to make a brighter day. What do? We've got to give a little love, have a little hope, make this world a little better. Try a little more, harder than before. Let's do what we can do together. Oh, we can really make it better. Only if we try. Got the worries on our mind, got the troubles on our shoulders. Sometimes it seems so much what we go through, but maybe if we take the time to understand each other, we can learn to make it right. What do? We've got to give a little love, have a little hope, make this world a little better. Try a little more, harder than before. Let's do what we can do together. Oh, we can really make it better. Oh, only if we try. If everybody took somebody by the hand, then maybe everyone could learn to love and understand. We've got to give a little love, have a little hope, make this world a little better. Try a little more, harder than before. Let's do what we can do together. Oh, we can really make it better. Oh, only if we try. Oh, we can really make it better. Oh, only if we try.
Thank you. This morning we're doing the meditation before the message. So I invite you now to find a comfortable position, releasing and letting go the outer distractions, and take a walk. I love to walk. It doesn't matter if I'm on a road that's paved, or out among the trees, or on a beach. It is a place to clear the mind and the heart, a time to be centered in the love of God, and to acknowledge and celebrate God's creation all around and within us. I breathe in the richness of the earth, so full of life and energy that it's rising up all around us this time of year. And I feel the love rising up. I smell the fragrance of the plants that salute the sun, that fill the air with their own unique beauty. I love to walk and feel the sunlight coming through the trees. There's light all around me. I am the light of God shining through. And as the air warms, I can smell the fragrance of the pine trees. Pine trees in the sunlight have a wonderful, gentle fragrance. They release their scent as the sun warms them. I'm one with the scent, the abundance of the presence of God. I feel the breeze moving through the trees and touching me. It is cleansing and healing and so full of life. It carries its message from faraway places and picks up new ones as it flows. I am the breeze that flows through the trees. I am the scent of pines. I am the light over all and in all. And I am centered in the earth, the life-giving earth, filled with energy and creativity and the love of God. I take each of these feelings, each of these scents, the sunlight, into that inner sanctuary where I am one with light and the love with all that is in the silence. Renewed and refreshed, I rise up in the love and the light of all creation. And I give thanks for the beauty shining through the world. And I am the beauty, and I express the beauty with joy and thanksgiving to the Creator of all that is. And it is good. Amen. It's all yours, John.
Thank you. Wow, that was a wonderful, wonderful meditation. Didn't quite want to come back to what my job is now. You know, we drove many miles to get here and got in Friday, and then figuring out how to get my computer to work here with internet and all that made it very interesting. But we're going to have a little Hawaiian celebration today, sort of, kind of. We call our cabin here Halekulani South, which means house befitting heaven. It's a heavenly place, and we are back in our Appalachian mountain heaven and with you. And what fun it is. And I see Gail has a cat too. So, right? Am I saying that right, Gail? Yeah, beautiful. And with all of you, beautiful music and beautiful people, and colleague of mine for many, many, many years. Well, so we're going to have a little bit of Hawaii here. Technically, Yesterday was Lay Day in Hawaii. And I will spell lay for you in case you don't know what I'm meaning. Lei, Lei. In some countries, May 1st is a call for parades. And to show military might, you'll have thousands and thousands and thousands of soldiers marching, and then they are displaying weapons of mass destruction. And that's their May Day celebration. Well, of course, pilots of both planes and boats in distress will send out a radio signal and they'll claim, Mayday, 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 we are in big trouble and we need help. But in Hawaii, where I served as a minister for 10 years, May 1st has been designated Lay Day since the 1920s. It's the celebration of the aloha spirit by giving lays to one another. Pretty much the giving and receiving and passing along of lays can happen any day for any reason in Hawaii. Man, that is what we love to do there. The passing of the lei was practiced in Polynesia, and the first Hawaiian settlers who came by these long distance canoes, and they sailed by the stars and somehow found this tiny little island chain of Hawaii. They carried that tradition with the sharing of leis. In modern times, men and women and children who are called keiki will exchange leis on occasions like graduations or funerals or weddings or birthdays or baby luau's. And a baby luau is when you celebrate the first birthday of a baby. You know, in the olden days, many of those babies did not live beyond the first year. So if they did, there was the belief that they had a chance of making it and they wanted a great big celebration. Now, usually these flowered leis are made from flowers. And by the way, I called a friend back in Hawaii. I said, could you send me some leis? I'm giving a talk on this. And she said, well, I want to hear that talk. So I hope Arabella and her husband, Jerry, are watching from Hawaii, but she sent me some leis. Some you may never have seen before, but they're made of flowers and leaves and nuts of various kinds, particularly kukui nuts. This is not kukui nut. This is kukui nut. By the way, when you give your first talk in your first church there, you are loaded down with these things. You can hardly breathe. You're kind of looking out, and it's just a wonderful thing. Some of them are made with feathers and some of ribbons. This happens to be the colors of Punahou School, very famous private school where Obama came from. Shell leis. Shell leis are these gifts, and this is what we used in the church to welcome first-time visitors, first-time friends to Unity Church of Hawaii. There, so I have the shell leis, and of course the favorite of the children are leis made of chewing gum and candy. So Arabella sent those to me, and I would just say shaka, you know, do the shaka sign for that. So anyway, so this is the leis. Lay Day. It's what you do. This is not a lesson specifically on Hawaiian culture and tradition, I promise. I will try to tie this together in some way with a Sunday lesson. At least that's my hope. And I would say that when the travel restrictions are lifted, why don't we all just go together as a church family, rent us a big house on the beach, and have a wonderful celebration in Hawaii? Would that sound good to you? We'll put that together. I see some applaud there. So yeah, we can do that. So the Hawaiian word for minister or reverend is kahu. It is not kahuna. Now, kahuna is another word, but if you ever met someone in Hawaii who called himself a kahuna, you could be pretty sure that he wasn't. We're not talking about kahuna, we're talking about kahu. But when a minister from the mainland, a haole, if you will, goes to Hawaii, he or she may not call him or herself kahu, until an elder Hawaiian in the church begins to refer to him or her as kahu. And I remember that that time. It happened pretty early for me, and I was really, really grateful. One day after a Sunday service, a Japanese Hawaiian, so he's part Japanese, part Hawaiian. By the way, everybody over there seems to be part something or another in many, many levels of that. And everyone in Hawaii today is a minority. And I tell you what, it's good for the soul to go somewhere and be a minority, especially if you're white Protestant male, to go there and understand what it means to be Hawaii. So, but this Japanese Hawaiian named Sugi, love that name, Sugi, took a kukui nut lei that had been around his neck, and he gave it to me, and he shared these words. The ancient Hawaiians used the oil from the kukui nut to burn in lamps, and you have given me spiritual light. They used the kukui nut for food, and you have brought me spiritual nourishment. They also used the kukui nut for medicine, and you have brought me spiritual healing. You are my kahu. And that was, in a sense, an anointing of me, as I was now a legitimate reverend minister in Hawaii. It was a special time. I had been accepted by a representative of the Hawaiian culture. Now, it was sometime later that I learned the medicinal value of the kukui nut was as a laxative. Sugi never told me that. So I thought, well, you know, I don't think he wanted me to know that, because how was I going to know? Nobody used that way. But I suppose, never mind. Let's just get away from that topic. So I brought him light, I brought him nourishment, and I brought him medicine. And we'll just say relief. How about that? Well, what we're focusing on today is the meaning of aloha and the expression of aloha. There are many meanings of aloha. It could be hello, it could be goodbye, but I think the most wonderful is love. And the sharing of leis is a symbol of love for one another. Wouldn't the world be a lot better if we took May 1st and made it a day of sharing aloha, of sharing love, instead of celebrating military might and weapons of mass destruction? In fact, I think the world in some way or another, and it could be the people, it could be the animals, it could be the environment, the climate, is crying, Mayday, Mayday, help us, help us. But we must help ourselves, and the help that we must give is love. Let's talk about love today. In Hawaii, I was a member of a beautiful, loving interfaith organization called the Open Table. All were welcome to come and to share in love. There were many Christians and many non-Christians, and there were clergy and non-clergy, and we came together because we thought it was important. And there were many, many different faiths there, a lot of them from this country, a lot of them from the mainland of this country. Hawaii is this country, but a lot of them from Asia, a lot of different kinds of religions. And I thought they were all wonderful. But I learned a wonderful lesson from a woman who was considered a living treasure of Hawaii. And she was a Maryknoll sister, a Roman Catholic nun, very well educated. And she was very much involved in interfaith. I remember while I was in Hawaii, going to Africa to be a representative of unity at the Parliament of the World's Religions. And this Maryknoll sister was on the dais with other powerful women spiritual leaders in the world. And I got to that meeting a little late. And as I was coming in, she was giving me the shaka sign. So that was just really kind of cool that here she recognized me coming in the audience. But this is what she said. Now, this is a very learned woman. She said, Jesus only taught two things. He taught love and he taught do not judge. And she said, but he knew that there would be times when we would forget that. And so he added a third teaching, and that is forgive. Now, friends, I've been a minister over 40 years. I have taken many classes and many seminars, and I have read many books, and I wrote a book that was accepted as a dissertation to be a doctor of religious studies, and I have never found a more profound or deeper teaching than those three: love, do not judge, and forgive. And I don't care what religion you claim to be or what religious leader you claim to follow, or if you don't claim to have any religion or follow any religious leader, living by those three ideas would change your life and allow the world itself to find healing and care for each other and care for the environment. And I think we could tear down most of our prisons and release most of the patients from hospitals, and especially from mental hospitals. So this is what I learned from a Catholic nun. Love, do not judge, and forgive. Toward the end of Jesus' earthly life, he said these powerful words. They're recorded in the book of John, the 13th chapter. So now I am giving you a new commandment. Love one another just as I have loved you. You should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world that you are my disciples. So if we could be so bold to say that's the 11th commandment, love one another as I have loved you. Now, I will just, as an aside, tell you, in Hawaii, they have an 11th commandment, not that one. It is, don't talk stink about nobody, bumby you get bachi. You know, don't badmouth anybody because it'll come back to you, is what that means. That's kind of the pigeon 10 commandments. But this, a new commandment. So you know the other 10 and how important they are. But could we add that to that? As I have loved you. It's a very, very simple to understand, not always easy to do. And I think as I look at the history of the world in the last few years, there's been a lot of condemning, criticizing, putting down, harming people with words. And, you know, years ago, a minister a few years senior to me said, John, that violence is not only physical, but also words. Words can be violent. And we've heard a lot of violent words. And my hope and my prayer is that we are getting back to where we can be civil toward one another. We can disagree agreeably, but this is what I would say. You might call it the aloha spirit in Hawaii, but a new commandment. Love one another the way I loved you. In the book of Matthew, 7th chapter, we find these words of Jesus that are known as the golden rule. Do to others whatever you would like them to do to you. This is the essence of all that is taught in the law and the prophets. As a child, we learned it this way: do unto others as you would have them do unto you. But the golden rule appears in virtually all major religions, at least the ones that I know. And no doubt that Jesus knew of, if he did not have direct contact with a great Jewish rabbi, Hillel the Elder, who was born 110 BC and died 10 AD. So there was a period where of crossover there. And Hillel said the golden rule this way: that which is hateful to you, do not do to your fellow. That is the whole Torah. The rest is the explanation. Go and learn. It's the same lesson, isn't it? But I love that we borrow from each other. Not that Jesus couldn't go direct to God, his Father, go to God and get that. But Hillel the Elder was well known and was highly regarded and highly respected. And Jesus himself was a rabbi and learned from other rabbis. In John, 1 John 4, 7 and 8, we read, "Dear friends, let us continue to love one another, for love comes from God. Anyone who loves is a child of God and knows God. But anyone who does not love does not know God, for God is love." Wow. There are many names for God, right? Many religions. But I think when you say God is love, I would say love is God. When we have love, we have God. When we love, we are being godly. We are being what we are called to do. For God is love. Let us love each other, for God is love. And I want to go to my favorite words of the Apostle Paul, and you know them from 1 Corinthians 13. Read just some of it. This is where Paul really gets the message. It's often read on in wedding services or Valentine's Day, but 1 Corinthians 13. And what I love about this is that the church at Corinth was a nasty church. They were fighting, there was trouble, and for goodness sakes, there were even temple prostitutes. So Paul is writing to them saying, hey, you have to love. And if you don't know what love is, let me tell you what love is. And this is what he says. He says, love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. Faith, hope, and love abide, these three, and the greatest of these is love. And let's just look at this. Wow. That's a tall order, isn't it? I mean, so he saw people who weren't patient and they weren't kind and they rejoiced at wrongdoing and they insisted on their own way and they were irritable. And so he said, patience, patience. I pray for that every day. And my prayer has been, Lord, give me patience and give it to me now. That's a tough one, isn't it? Yeah. Kind. Well, of course it is. Not envious or boastful. Oh boy. Have you seen in recent times anybody who was boastful, envious, and boy, somebody's taking credit for what should, or how about arrogance or rudeness? Oh my word. That we've had enough of that. It does not insist on its own way. That's a tough one too, because if I'm right, then I need to insist on my own way, right? Now, how does that connect with another person who thinks they're right? You know, I was talking to somebody about unity and how people have sometimes accused us of being a cult. Have you ever heard that? And I said, well, we're the least cult-like of any religion I know, because we teach that everyone can go straight to God and get guidance. And so what happens, say I'm the minister and I say the church ought to go in this direction, and you say, well, I prayed and I think we ought to go in this direction. And so with a cult, you have this charismatic leader and everybody lines up behind that person. Well, maybe I haven't been charismatic enough because I never got people to line up behind me and do everything I said. And also, I didn't insist on my own way. Now, some may disagree with that have served with me on boards and things, but love is so godly, and it's in all of us. And it's our job to take that and to live that, I've always said the unity teaching is very simple. It's the living of it that's hard. Simple to understand, but it is difficult to put into practice at all times. When somebody we feel is mistreating us or doesn't agree with us or accuses us of this or that, can we be loving? Can we be loving? Can we love others the way the Master loved us. And we've passed Easter, except today is Easter for the Eastern Orthodox. But I think that amazing thing as Jesus is being crucified, and he says, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I think that was one of the most important points leading to the resurrection. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. And an interesting thing about that statement from the cross was one of the reasons that they accused him of blasphemy was that he was forgiving. And they said, only God can forgive. So if he had said, I forgive you from the cross, they would have said, yeah, that's why we're crucifying you. But he prays it in a way that would be acceptable to those who are doing that dastardly deed. So loving, the aloha spirit. And the greatest of these is love. So that's what we've been talking about today. And we celebrate Lay Day. May 1st is the technical Lay Day. And aloha and love, as understood and taught and lived by Jesus the Christ. And so I'd like to close with a prayer that is familiar to all of us, but not necessarily in this language. Kama lama lama o ke akua e ho'opuni mai a kako. Ke aloha o ke akua e kipuni mai a kako. Kamana o ke akua e ho'opakele mai a kako. Ke alo o ke akua e mālama mai a kako. Makahi a kako e hele aku ai he akua no. Amene. Now we're going to close this service in a few minutes using that very same prayer. But in English, it is our beloved prayer for protection. Aloha, my friends. Happy Lay Day. And happy aloha on the day after Lay Day and every day after. God bless you.
Thank you. That's the first time I've ever heard anything said in Hawaiian. That's a first. And of course, I didn't understand a word. Okay, this is the time in our service when we acknowledge the gift that is flowing through each one of us, through our speaker, through our musicians, to each and every individual with any connection to this ministry. And because we're not face to face, our gifts come online or by mail, but that doesn't mean that we don't acknowledge them and bless them. So I invite you to join me, holding in mind the gift that you have received and the gift that you give. Together, divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And it returns to me blessed and multiplied. And it is good. Thank you, Father. All right. Let's see now. We've got more music.
That's right. Yes. Okay. This is People of Love. The lyrics are in the chat box. If you know this song, please feel free to join in. This is Snatam Kaur. We are the people of love. Let us, people, love today. We are the people of love. Let us, people, love.
now let's do our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All right, then. We're ready to close with our peace song.
Yes, the lyrics have just showed up in the chat box.
You can stop the recording, Gail.